How does a person become a millionaire? The hardest part of like making millions of dollars and being successful in business is becoming the person who is able to do the thing. That's the hardest part. Hardest part's not doing things that'll make you $1 million. That's not the hardest part. Finding there being a big enough pool of people with a painful enough problem. That's not the hard part. The hardest part is you becoming the person who has enough intestinal fortitude and grit to go down into the laboratory, the cave, right? The drawing board, whatever you want to call it, and obsess over this problem long enough to find an elegant, effortless, effective solution. That's the part. Because most people don't have enough intestinal fortitude, they don't have enough stick-to-itiveness, they don't have enough grit to last through the learning curve to become the person who can do the thing that makes them deserve to have the stuff. If you think about what business really does, is an entrepreneur is one who solves problems for other people for profit, right? So, one, you have to be aware of problems. Two, you have to have enough mental acuity to solve them. Three, you have to care enough about the people who have the problem and the problem itself to obsess over solving it long enough to figure out how to solve it. And then you have to be a clear enough communicator to communicate to the people with the problem that you found the best possible solution for that problem. All of those things are necessary. And I think one of the reasons so many entrepreneurs struggle in business is because they may be good at one of those, and they may think that being good at one of those things, either having an awareness of the problem or an ability to fix the problem or an ability to talk about fixing the problem, they may have one of those, but they don't have the rest of them. But they think that because they have the one, that it should be enough. For anyone, that the first time they flip the coin of work that it lands on heads, I would not wish that for anybody.
Interesting.
Because if I don't stay in a place where the work is not working for me, but it's working on me long enough, I might have that success, but it's going to more than likely be a flash in the pan success. Part of the reason I believe that God ordained that we go from just enough to not enough, and then finally to more than enough, is because if we went straight from just enough to more than enough without going through not enough, we wouldn't be strong enough to stay in more than enough when we get there. So we have to be yielded enough to how life works, to the principles of life, to truth, to let the work on us until the work that it's doing on us is complete. So now I'm mature enough. That's why and I'm sure you've probably seen this. You might interview some young millionaires who are in their 20s and they've made millions of dollars and they're still miserable and frustrated. Why? Because they worked on something that worked for them, but it didn't work on them long enough for them to learn that just making a lot of money by itself does not bring fulfillment. They find a very, very large pool of people with a very, very, very painful problem, deep enough pockets to be able to pay to solve that problem. And then they obsess over solving that problem for those people. And then they obsess over figuring out the best possible way to communicate clearly, I have the best solution for this problem. That's the whole thing. Because if you think about it, if you are if you're a golfer and you're a 15 handicap and somebody figures out how to go from 15, right, how to go from a 15 handicap down to a 4 handicap, it's only going to take you 30 days. If you have that solution, because we know golfers have deep pockets, even the broke golfers have deep pockets if they play golf. I mean, a box of Pro V1s costs $60, right? That's for 12 golf balls. So they have deep pockets to some degree. So if you solve that problem, if I'm willing to pay $60 for a box of golf balls that I'm going to hit into the woods, I'd be willing to pay $600 to learn how not to hit the $60 worth of golf balls into the woods. Right? So if I can find a big pool of people with a painful problem and deep enough pockets to pay to solve that problem, and I can find an elegant, efficient, effective solution for that problem, but I have to be able to tell them in a way that causes them to believe it, it would be very, very hard for me not to get rich as an entrepreneur. One of the most amazing success principles I've ever discovered, I found it in Genesis chapter 1, the first book in the Bible, first chapter in the Bible. It has so many success principles in it. I did an entire YouTube video for 2 hours just uncovering success principles in Genesis chapter 1. So here's what's really amazing. The first thing that God established was the platform. And the platform was time, space, and matter. Time, space, and matter are the boundaries. They are our constraints as human beings who live on this planet in this time, right? Time, space, and matter. Everything that we do and everything we experience is bound by time, space, and matter, right? So God set up time, space, and matter. When? Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning, there's time. Time began right there. God created the heavens, that's space, and the earth, that's matter. So time, space, and matter. That's the platform. The next thing that we see in Genesis chapter 1, God gave the parameters. This is the first thing God ever said to man. Be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, subdue it, and have dominion. So he said, be fruitful. And then he said, multiply. Well, multiply is not a be. Now, he didn't state the verb. The verb would be do multiply. Multiply is something you do, right? And then do replenish, and then do subdue. And then the last thing he said was have dominion. So here are the parameters. Be, do, it was actually do, have. Be, do, have. Okay, so it's be, do, have. Those are the parameters. Well, if you look at the platform and you put it right beside the parameters, they match. What does that mean? Well, being is the parameter that can only happen on the platform of time. Anything I'm going to become that I'm not already, it's going to take time. I have a 6-year-old granddaughter. I don't chuck her the keys to my car and say, hey, run over to Publix and get us a loaf of bread and some peanut butter and some jelly so we can eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Not because she's stupid. She's not stupid. Not because she's incapable. She's very capable. But because she's not yet become a person who can drive a car. And if she's going to become a person who can drive a car, regardless of how smart she is, regardless of how astute she is, she could have a 300 IQ at 6 years old. She still can't drive a car. Why? Because if she's sitting on the driver's seat, she can't see over the dashboard. And that's how life works. The purpose of time is to become more than we've been being. And we have to yield to time and let time turn us into what only time can turn us into. That's number one. Okay? Space is the platform for doing. If I'm going to do anything, I need space. If I'm all wrapped up in cellophane and all taped up with duct tape, I can't do anything. Why? I don't have any space around me. So I need some space. And then the last thing is have. So the purpose of time is being, the purpose of space is doing, the purpose of matter is having. The reason matter exists is so we can have it. Why? That's the reward for becoming the person who is willing to do the thing. Now, here's what's fascinating to me, that God, in his infinite wisdom, put in our hearts a desire to have more. We want to have a nicer car. We want to have more money in the bank. We want to have more health in our body. We want to have better relationships. We have an intense, immense desire to have. God said, you can have as much as you'd like, as long as you are willing to do the right thing in order to have it. And so what do? We think that the answer to the havingness that we desire is the doingness of the activity that other people have done that have gotten them the having. And so what happens is we attempt to do what they did. Only problem is our assignment's not their assignment. So when we attempt to do what they did, we can't do it. What comes first, skill set or mindset? Definitely mindset comes first.
Why?
Definitely mindset. So it's really interesting that you asked that question. So I have a formula, MS times SS times TS equals assets. What does that mean? And income follows assets. And by the way, income follows assets is a phrase I got from Daniel Priestley, so I'm going to give him full credit for that. Income follows assets, and Daniel's brilliant. If you don't have assets, then your income is limited. You're your only asset. So you go to work for a day, you get a day's pay. But when you begin to acquire and build and accumulate assets, those assets have income following them, right? So what is MS times SS times TS? Mindset times skill set times tool set equals assets. And so it always starts with mindset, because if you have the wrong mindset, you're not going to last through the learning curve long enough to develop the skill set. I got started in sales October of 1985, selling insurance and investments in a financial services company. Guess what? I was so bad. It took me 18 months to make my first sale, and I did a lot of presentations in that 18 months. People said, why didn't you quit? I didn't have a plan B. I had to learn how to do this. It was the only arena I had ever seen where anybody was making $10,000 a month. In 1985, $10,000 a month was a fortune. I didn't know anybody else making $10,000 a month. I wasn't making $10,000 a year. But I met somebody who was making $10,000 a month, selling insurance and investments, and building a team of insurance and investment agents on that team. Oh, I'm going to do this. And so I didn't give up because I didn't have anything else to do. So I'm going to figure this thing out. I finally made my first sale in April of 1987. Within a couple of months of that time period, I was the top salesman in our office every month. How did you do that? Easy. I lasted through the learning curve long enough to find all the ways that wouldn't work to make a sale. All I had left was ways that would. When I found the ways that would work to make a sale, I put those things on rinse and repeat. Too many entrepreneurs find something that works and they get bored with it. When I find something that works, I don't get bored with it. I get paid with it. I put that thing on rinse and repeat so fast, you'll think I was a water faucet.